Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of the train station. First and foremost, I want to apologize for the length in between these videos. I took a bit of a personal break between school and just being, in the right mental state of mind. It takes a lot to do this for free, and I just haven't exactly been feeling it. So I took a bit of a personal break to gather my thoughts and all that. Of course, I am your host, Anthony, and with me once again is my co-host.
Hi guys, it's Joe. Glad to be back. How are y'all doing?
And today we're gonna tackle an issue that we have that's very important to us, and that is the Madden franchise.
The many issues of Madden, how broke their game really is.
I know it's like the only sports game or like football game that we have, but I personally have
hmm
always enjoyed the Madden franchise. But just the last couple of years, it just seems like my enjoyment level for it is less and less.
I would agree with that. I think they've dumped a lot of time and effort into Ultimate Team. I can't tell you the last time I actually sat down and put any real effort into Ultimate Team. Maybe I'll play it a couple hours when I first get the new Madden, and then after that, I just lose interest in it. I'm not some YouTube star like there are out there that put hours on end and countless money into packs and everything else. So for me, it's I think that's where the time and effort has gone into, and then that takes away from franchise where people have been begging for so many things for so many years, and we kind of bullied Madden this year into getting something new, or at least different features. So we'll
We did
see.
all we got this year in franchise, and I'll pull up the list a little later. Is we just got little improvements that could have been like a mid-year patch in Madden 20.
Absolutely, and that seems to always be the thing with Madden is they think this is groundbreaking, brand new, fresh to the game. Where it's like what you just said. Yeah, that could have been a patch in the game from last year. That's nothing groundbreaking. That's not new. But yet people are still gonna go drop the $60+ on it because they're like, oh my god, that is so cool. No, they got you exactly where they want you to be.
The reason Ultimate Team is the number one focus is because it's basically pay to win.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember when Ultimate Team first came out, it was one of those things where it was like, okay, you actually had to put the time in, and you actually had to, grind to get the players, and then to end up, being
Right.
good. Now you can spend, 50, 100, $200 and get Barry Sanders and Joe Montana and all those guys.
Yep.
And it takes absolutely, no skill to get good anymore.
Nope. And that takes the enjoyment away for people that actually like the game and want to sit there and grind, And I think that's part of the reason I stopped playing it so much is, I'll go sit there, I'll go through the challenges, and I'll get like stupid little rewards for it. And I'm like, this is not worth my time. I'd rather sit here and play against a computer than sit here and put countless hours into something that I'm not going to get anything for. So,
Right, and most of it is, and I don't know how true it is, but I was listening to somebody else who was complaining about Madden, and
mhm.
they said that EA makes about $1 billion off Ultimate Team alone.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
So they don't need to fix anything else because they're making so much money off
hmm
each and every year off of Ultimate Team that there's no need to actually put your team to work on anything else.
Absolutely. And like they say, EA Sports, it's in the game. I don't think it's in the game at all. And I know that sounds corny, but you think about it, it's true. There's no realism to franchise mode, really. You know,
Yeah, no, and the thing is, it seems like each and every year, instead of because back in like Madden 08, Madden 09,
hmm
franchise mode was great. You could pretty much do whatever you wanted, and
right?
now it just seems like each and every year they're taking the little things away.
They are because they're taking away that stuff and they're focusing on Ultimate Team because they want that to be the selling point.
So
Because
I have it pulled up right here of everything they're adding into the Madden 21 franchise.
that list is what 5 items.
And when you hear it, you can see exactly why I say it could have been added into a patch in Madden 20.
hmm
So it says the new X Factors make their way into franchise. So there's going to be more X Factors, as if, the X Factors weren't already, cheap enough.
Right.
Franchise has expanded the wild card playoff round to make it real life NFL, which will now have 3 wild card games instead of 2.
Okay.
Updated all rookie contract amounts to be more authentic to actual draft rookie contracts for all 7 rounds. And then returned every position's available abilities to better consider in-game effectiveness of the ability and architect.
I think
So
the
what you're
only
saying is around Super Bowl weekend when you do your regular patch, you couldn't have added everything but the wild card expansion in?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is like everything in there they could have added except for the um, extension of wild card rounds because obviously that doesn't take place until this year. So, that's kind of that adds. It doesn't add the realism to the game, but everything else that was listed, yeah, that pretty much could have been added. I don't know about the X factors as much because I think I don't know who's getting new X factors this year, or if they're just updating the ones that already have them.
It'll Yeah, knowing Madden, it'll just be the ones that are already
Yep.
updated.
So if that's the point, then okay, yeah, then you can say that could have been a patch. But if they're adding new players with X factors, I guess maybe they could have added it as a patch last year. But
You still could have done that in like a roster update
mhm.
though, and just add that extra X factor.
Yeah, I don't think I'm buying Madden this year to be honest, because it's not worth the time. It's not worth the money when it's the same thing as last year. You know, just like the guy who had the ultimate or the Madden championship game, who won the game with a punter running the same plays over again.
Right, and I was going to we're gonna get more into the gameplay and all that in just a minute, but for franchise, I don't understand. Every other game,
Yep.
NHL has it, NBA 2K has it. You can create a custom team with a custom
Yep.
roster and put it into the game. And, it's like you're trying to roll. In 2K you have have the best, or you can create a team. You can get any Google image, put it in there, create the jersey how you want, and then basically just make a team how
Yep.
you want. NHL has similar
Yes, they do.
features, and even in FIFA, even though they don't have a created team because they have so many options to
Mm-hmm.
pick from, you can take a team like LA and you can put them into the Premier League. You can put them in England. You can put them in Spain, and you can get that kind of customization
Yep.
with it. Where it's not exactly creating a team, but you're like starting from like one of the worst teams, and then you're going to try and increase them, or win the top leagues in the world.
Yeah. See,
I don't understand why Madden doesn't have something like that. All you can do is you can move a current team to the pre-existing cities, or to the pre-existing created teams, and there's the same. They've been the same for like 10 years.
yeah. That's just the thing with it too. Is if you want a game, if you say it's in the game, then put it in the game. Okay, you can relocate teams and everything like that, but it's not as fun when you can't create something. What if you just, what if you have like 6 friends you're playing online with, and you guys want to create a new team, and start that, because it gets boring playing with the same 32 teams each and every time. Even though you may do a fantasy draft, okay, that's fun and all,
Mm-hmm.
but at some point that starts to just repeat itself because at some point you're kind of going to get the same players, whether
Right,
that be the
exactly.
draft or through free agency. You're going to get the same players you had in maybe 2 franchises ago. So it's fun to play maybe 1, 2, 3 times. After that, it's not worth it to me. It's because you're bored and have nothing else to do, which has been our
Like NBA 2K, you get the full customization. You get to create the team the way you want. You can make a complete custom roster. You can put them on the team, or you can start to where certain players aren't protected, and then you can start with like guys that are like NBA G leaguers, and then you're trying to build your roster up that way.
Yep. I just did a NHL franchise where I created an expansion team, and I created everything from the bottom up, you know, jerseys, the stadium. Was it tedious and did it take a while to build all that? It did. But at the end of the day, it was fun to see how everything came together, and it felt really good once you actually reached the goal, won a Stanley Cup. You felt like, all right, it was something worth it. Where in Madden, it's just
Right.
like, all right, cool, I'm just building the roster. We just go get a Super Bowl and that's it.
That's another thing with Madden is they literally after one season, there's no point in playing
Yeah,
anymore
exactly.
because all you do is you get a little trophy on the back of the coach's desk.
Yep.
They don't recognize that you've won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
They don't recognize, that you're defending, Super Bowl champions. There's nothing like that. The only thing that they do is they make you play on Thursday night
Mm-hmm.
of the next season to be like, oh yeah, they won the Super Bowl, but it's never like really recognized again after that.
And here's another annoying thing too. I always like detail in these kind of games, and I can't remember what Madden it exactly was, but you had the options to wear pink gloves, cleats, towels, all the accessories for breast cancer. Um, so going into franchise, why are there only a select few preset coaches that you can choose from? Why can't I create the guy I want to create to maybe look more
Right.
like me, or just to create some random funky looking dude? Why does it have to be what that is?
Right, and no, even back to your point of the pink stuff, like even in Madden 20, they took that out. Like back in the older Madden games,
Mm-hmm.
during the whole month of October,
Mm-hmm.
you'd have pink gloves, pink shoes,
Yep. And there's
stuff that the actual players wear. And then now it's like, okay, it's October, where's that at?
yep.
It's just the small little details like that that they took out of the game that make the game significantly worse.
Yep. Because if I want to play a sports game, I want it to be realistic as much as possible. I understand there's things, I get now the NFL is doing, my cause, my cleats or whatever, and everybody's creating their own little thing. And that's going to be hard because then you have to get the rights from the players, just like the tattoo issue a few years ago. Is not every player was like willing to give up the rights for their tattoos to be put into the game. Um, but just something to make it feel realistic. I think it was Madden, whichever one it had with Kelvin Johnson. Um, was it
Mm-hmm.
13? I want to say
13,
13.
14, something like that.
Um, I remember sitting down on Thanksgiving. I turned on Madden, and Phil Sim and Jim Nance was like, "Hey, happy Thanksgiving, everybody!" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Today is Thanksgiving," because I had forgotten actually it was Thanksgiving. So it's just those little
Yeah.
things in the commentary, and the commentary they put in these games are old. It's dry. It's stale. It's the same thing over and over and over again. I don't understand how hard it is just to say, okay, all right, maybe 2 years we're going to have these announcers, and then the next 2 years we're going to have these announcers. What happened to sideline reporters? What happened to the booth
Mhm.
view of the commentators? It's just those little things that make the game feel more immersive that they've taken away from you, which takes away from the fun of it.
Right, or even, having different announcers for Thursday night football, for
Yep.
Monday night football, for Sunday night football, like they have in real life,
Mm-hmm.
like you have different sets of announcers for each night.
Yep.
In Madden, you have one set of
Yep.
announcers.
And I've said that before too. Is like, would it be a little bit harder for them to get all that? Yeah, maybe because they're going to have to update um, all the commentary with what's going on in the NFL. But just be able to choose from the Sunday night football crew or the Monday night or the Thursday night, it would just add so much more to the game. I think a lot more people would actually pick it up and play it.
Right, because I know it's a super duper old game, but even in NCAA basketball 10,
Mm-hmm.
you have the ESPN announcers, which is like Dick Vitale and I forget the other guy. And then you have the CBS announcers.
Yep.
So already in that game and how old it is, you have two different sets of announcers. There's no reason Madden can't have, different sets of announcers for each night the game is played.
Exactly. All they want is your money. They don't care whether or not they're putting out an actual good game. And I understand. All you have to do is copy and paste the roster, tweak it here and there, add the new players from the guys who left college that were drafted, and then you can focus so much more on everything else after that, and actually make a decent game instead of just all we're doing is paying $60 for a roster update and a few other little tweaks here and there. If that's the case, make one Madden and then send out updates, kind of like COD does, and you add new stuff, you add new features, you do this, you do that. And if I'm going to spend $63 on a game, I want a good $63 worth of a game. I don't want some junk that's just like, oh yeah, here's last year's with a few new things.
Right, but I do got to give them credit. This year they did add the custom draft classes.
Okay.
So where at least you can get, at least when you're going into the draft, you can draft, and put the college players that actually came out, guys like, Tua Tagovailoa game. Whereas before it was every time you drafted, it was just a bunch of pre-made generic
Right.
guys. And it's still like that, which is why I said after the first season, it's basically pointless to
Exactly, because
play
it's no realism to it.
because you get the custom draft class for the first year, and then after that, it's a bunch of random generated guys who end up, 5 years down the road have all have the same
Yep.
name. Freaking,
Joe Schmo.
yeah, John Jones, and you get like 7 John Jones in the game. I don't want 7 John Jones. Make it different.
Exactly.
Or even, or 2K. That's why 2K, is that's another story. But at least in that game, you can update the draft class every single
Mm-hmm.
year. In the first season, you can put this year's draft class. The next year, you can put, it might not be super accurate because we don't know who's declaring and
Right.
whatnot, but at least you'll have guys like, one year you can have LaMelo Ball. The next year, you can have the next top guy, whoever that may be.
Yeah.
Or at least you can, you can keep it fresh, or you can create custom draft classes to keep the game fresh. Whereas Madden, you can't keep it
Nope.
fresh. And back to what you said about realistic. And the NFL is becoming a passing league.
Absolutely is.
In Madden 20, there's absolutely zero need to
Nope.
pass the ball.
Because everything in the highlights was a run game or was a run play. Maybe
All
there's a
you
few passing plays, but
Yeah, in a game that focuses so much on realism and realism,
there's none.
the fact I can run halfback stretch, halfback
Mm-hmm.
dive, fullback dive, and just plays like that, I don't need to pass the ball. I can win with
Yep.
3 plays. It's like, so how is a game that's so focused on making an authentic football game, authentic when you're focusing on the run in a passing league?
I mean, don't get me wrong, guys like me, I love to run the ball, but it's hard to pass the ball when it literally never works. It almost never works.
Right, and I'm a guy that loves to throw the ball deep. Give me the fastest receivers in the game
Yep.
with a 99 arm strength quarterback. I love that kind of play, and just Hail Mary, 60-yard touchdowns. I love those kind of
Absolutely.
plays. But I also like to run the ball, but I don't like to just focus on just one
Mm-hmm.
thing. I don't like to just pass the ball all the time or just run all the time. I would love a bit of a mix, balance. But there's no balance in
Nope.
Madden. You can be really good at one and not need to do the
Exactly.
other. Like, you can build a playbook specifically on just the pass and never need a
Mm-hmm.
run. That's not
Nope.
realistic. Or you can build a playbook where there's 4 run plays and never need a pass and have success.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And some people absolutely loved it. That's all you have to do. Because to them that's how you win and that's how you cheat. And just like the Madden Championship, you can run on 2, 3 plays, and that's it. And everybody thinks, oh, you're the greatest Madden player in the world. No, he just exploited what's broken. People think that there's nothing wrong with the game, and there you go.
And that's the thing, like those Madden tournament stuff, like Madden got exposed on national TV about how broken their
Mm-hmm.
game is. They didn't address it at all. You literally got exposed in a Madden tournament with some of the best Madden players in the world on how broken your game is.
Well, because they know if they admit they're wrong or that there's something wrong with the game, then they're afraid they're going to lose buyers. So to them, why fix what's broken when people know this is broken, but people are still going to go buy it because, oh, we're going to add this and this.
I mean, it just comes to a point though where you're not respecting, the consumer.
Right.
Because, what is it? WWE 2K, their new game 2K20 was absolutely
Mm-hmm.
terrible. It was broken, it was unplayable. So what did they say? We're not going to make a game this year. We're going to take a step back. We're going to evaluate what we need to
Yep.
fix. And in, in terms of hopefully for 2021-22 year when it's 2K22, hopefully they produce a much better game.
And
And I think that's what Madden needs to look at. They need to look in the mirror and say, "Hey, maybe it's a good idea if we take a year off,
right.
actually listen to our community, see what we need to fix, and then produce a good
Yep.
game."
I think the problem too with that though is I think we put a lot of pressure. And here's where I'm going to kind of defend the EA and Madden a little bit. Is I think that us consumers we put so much pressure on them for things that we want to see that they just have to put something out, and then we're not happy with what they produce. But again, they're the only ones making a football game, so they kind of just have to put something out there to satisfy people for a little bit. But um, maybe they if they did take a year off, I'd be okay with that. If they're gonna actually listen to the people, make a good, decent game, all right, maybe I'll start considering, actually buying it more often or collaborate with somebody else, with another producer to make different kind of functionalities in the game so that the load isn't always on them so they can focus, if you have maybe say 2K partners with EA or something, 2K can focus on this part of the game, EA can focus on this part of the game, and then you bring in some different engineer company and they can focus on this, so that way.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
the thing with that though is they have different developers for different games. Like EA is such a big
Mm-hmm.
company that they have developers strictly just for Madden, strictly just for FIFA, strictly just for this game and
Right.
that game. If you didn't put out such a crap game to begin with, you could focus more time on improving the next game rather than having to fix the current game while also trying to build for next
Yep.
year. So while I understand why you're defending them, at the same time, it's on them for already putting out a crap game to begin with.
Yeah, and I can see it that way too.
Because if they focused on, okay, making Madden 20 a great game with every, not everything that the consumer wants, but just the little things that the consumer wants to make, franchise mode and
It's
whatnot
a step in
better,
the right direction.
then you can focus more on Madden 21 and then come back to Madden 20 and adding little updates, that don't change the game too much, but fixes the bugs and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, around Christmas time or Super Bowl,
Right.
whenever. And then putting all that effort forth the next Madden game so that we actually get a decent product year to year rather than getting crap hoping to fix it later and then producing more crap the next year.
Absolutely. I think it's kind of like what you're getting at too is kind of doing like a beta. So, say Madden 20, you start doing, if you're sitting down and focusing on Madden 21, okay, we're going to put these things into this franchise. So let's kind of put some of that into Madden 20. Let's see what our players like, what they don't like. Let's listen to what they're saying so that way we can fix it in 21. And then the same thing with 21. You focus on 122, put it in 21, get that feedback, and then you start to develop a real game. Because if this is a game for the players and you're not listening to the players, then who are you making it for? Are you just
They're making it for the little kids that steal their
yeah
parents' wallets and spend a bunch of money on Ultimate Team. That's who they make the game for.
yeah
They make it for the casual players because little kids like that, they're not going to care that you can win with just run plays or win with just pass plays. They're going to see, oh, look, I have a 99 overall team because I stole mommy's credit card.
that's why kids are little shits.
It's like, in Madden, they're playing to the casual rather than the hardcore football
Mm-hmm.
fans, the ones that actually care about the game and want to see a good game produced. They're just they're catering to the younger crowd,
Exactly.
the casuals that don't really know anything about football. They just see, oh, I have a good team. I'm good online.
No,
No,
yeah, you're not good.
you're just exploiting the Madden system of spending money to get good and then pretending you're actually good when you're not.
I couldn't have said that any better.
And that's the thing. It's like sports games now. It's like, we want to see them good, and I think that's why we all go back to the old ones so often. Is because the old ones were doing it
Mm-hmm.
right before it was pay to win, pay to
Yep.
play. Back when there was online play, but it was you against somebody
Mm-hmm.
else, and they didn't have virtual currency. They didn't have this and that to ruin the football game or the sports game. You had to practice and do all this to actually get good.
Absolutely.
And I swear, there's more broken plays in Madden now than there was
Oh,
back then.
absolutely.
Like, obviously, every video game's gonna have its flaws. It's gonna
Oh
have
yeah.
broken plays and stuff. But it seems like Madden 20 is just there's so many broken
Mm-hmm.
plays that you don't need to run anything else. And it's like the older football games felt more authentic and real than they do now.
Absolutely. You felt more challenged when playing those games than you do now.
Yeah. Because even the computer, I feel like even the AI is a lot worse than they were in past
Oh yeah.
games. Like, you could be facing like a 13-0, Drew Brees Saints team that's got, all the best players, and it's like, okay, all I have to do is run the ball down the
Yep.
throat, and I win. Defense, all I have to do is, okay, I know what they're gonna do. It's like it's so easy to predict what the computer is gonna do. It makes it not fun.
Yeah, that's very agreeable. I think the same thing, because I've played a little bit more NHL now because I'm just so tired of Madden. Um, you can like you said, you can just read things like a book, and then even if you do try to stop it, you get screwed. Even if I know this guy's gonna make a cross ice pass and I try to go to poke check him, I end up getting a tripping penalty. Why
Yeah.
why is it every time I go for a poke check, I'm getting a 2 minute minor? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and it's like in Madden, it's like the quarterback, when they do throw
Mm-hmm.
the ball, their accuracy is ridiculous. Like they throw like 14 or 15 every game. Like, I'm sorry, no quarterback is that
Yep.
accurate. You shouldn't be able to complete every single pass that you throw with one or two maybe incompletion. That's not realistic at all. No quarterback is really going to do that. I mean, it happens. Okay, like if I play the game and it happens once a year, like once a season that I'm playing, that a quarterback goes like 15 of 15. Okay, that's understandable. But it shouldn't happen, 9 out of 10 games that I play where the quarterback is just ridiculously
For the
accurate.
love of God, can we please fix the animations on players?
Yeah, those are bad too. The animations, that's why I said like the older games they just feel more
Mm-hmm.
real. Like Madden's so focused on Ultimate Team and
Yep.
graphics and making the game look
I mean, don't get me wrong.
realistic
I
that
like good graphics in the game, but when the graphics and Ultimate Team overpower the little things, I'd rather have, some 1990s graphics versus, this stuff that
well,
we
yeah,
have.
in video games it's always gameplay over
Mm-hmm.
graphics. But Madden and it seems like sports games now, like 2K when they were advertising their new trailer, yay, the players sweat more. Wow.
It's like something that we both know said in the next year's 2K, you're going to be able to feel their sweat. You're going to start
Yeah.
getting their sweat on your arm.
You're gonna start freaking sweating too as you're playing the game, yeah. But it's like, Madden and all those games, they're so focused on graphics and making sure the game looks authentic that they lose, things like animation. And they lose the little things that make the game look unrealistic, even though you've tried graphic wise to make it look realistic.
Yeah, I don't know where Madden went wrong and why they've gone downhill as bad as they have.
Well, I mean, we pretty much already said it. When you're making $1 billion a year on Ultimate Team, there's no
Oh,
need to
yeah,
fix your
that's
game.
that's true too.
You have suckers that continuously spend $60 on the game, then spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on Ultimate Team.
And maybe these YouTubers have kind of ruined it for the rest of us because that's all they play is Ultimate Team. Because not only does Madden give you the players if you buy packs, but then these YouTubers make the videos, YouTube pays them, and then that's how they get their money. So really, it's catering to the YouTube audience and to those YouTubers that make these videos that's why it is the way it is.
Right. And I think a lot of that, I think the packs and stuff too are kind of
Oh,
rigged.
absolutely. There's no doubt.
where you see, YouTubers get packs, they'll spend $20, they'll get it right away. They'll get the player they're looking. But a guy like me and you, if we were to buy a pack, we would have to spend more and more money just to get that one player that the YouTuber
Yeah,
just got.
absolutely. I can't tell you. I played, I think Madden, I think it was 16 or 17, whichever one had Gronk on it. I can't remember the year, but I wanted one player who was like a 90 something overall. I wanted him so freaking badly, and I don't understand. I had to play every last little second challenge to actually get him. I didn't go out and just buy him because what fun is that? I
Right, yeah.
grinded day in, day out for countless hours on end to finally get him, and I finally got him, and it felt so good to insert him in my lineup and start doing new challenges.
That's the thing. It's like, I think a lot of us, the hardcore gamers rather than the casuals, get a lot of more satisfaction
Yep.
completing everything and actually grinding and doing it rather than just, hey, look, I stole my mom's credit card, I swiped, now I got the
Yeah.
player. There's no fun
No,
in
there
that.
isn't.
Where's the reward to that? You spend a bunch of money already on the game. I want to actually grind out, play the game to be able to
Yep.
be rewarded. And that's why I want them to focus so much on franchise mode, because I like franchise mode. I like going through that 17-week
Mm-hmm.
grind to be able to get to the playoffs, to get to the Super
And
Bowl.
yep.
And then, you win the Super Bowl just to not be
Yeah.
rewarded. They don't mention it, nothing. All you do is you get this, like I mentioned earlier, you get this little tiny, Lombardi trophy in the back of your
Yep.
office.
Or the only
After that, it means absolutely nothing.
or the only time that they do mention it is after you just lost in the the NFC or the AFC Championship game, and Taylor Bennett comes up to you and says, "Well, how do you think How do you think this team that you just lost to is gonna fare in the Super Bowl?" But I don't care. I hope they lose.
Yeah.
For all I care.
Yeah, and that's I think that's another feature that I know it's kind of, dumb and not a lot of people care, but like coach to player
Uh-huh.
interactions or, coach to interview, actually have the coach be in there and ask or have them ask questions and then the coach answering, or if a player's, feeling disgruntled, like player morale in Madden does not
Nope.
exist. They could be the star player and play absolutely no minutes and not complain.
Yeah.
It's like, where's the player morale? Where's the player chemistry? Where if this person's not playing enough, he's feeling, he's feeling threatened. He wants to be traded. Where you can go in and have a conversation with him, like, hey, now's not really the time, or I'm sorry, I'll try to play you some more, something
Right.
like
Trying to give
that.
him a little bit of a morale boost in that sense.
Where it's not perfect, but at least in FIFA they have it to where if a player's gonna be disgruntled, they're like, you know, hey coach, or they're called managers in there. They're like, hey, if I don't start playing more, you got to look to the next transfer window. You got to look to get
Mm-hmm.
rid of me. And you can be like, okay, I'll try to play you more. Or goodbye, I don't care. Something like that. It's just little things like that that make the game that much better.
I agree.
Madden has no player interaction, no coach interaction. It's just, it's the same thing every week. It's you play the game, you scout, you move on to the next week, you practice, you do it. There's nothing else
Mm-hmm.
to it.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah. And it's like there's no interaction like there is in like an actual NFL
Mm-hmm.
season. Where's like, like you said, where's the sideline reporter at halftime? Hey, this is what your team's doing great. What do you think? Or here's what, they ask a question, what do you think? There's no interviews, there's no nothing like that. So it's the same boring, repetitive, thing.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's
And you can even say that the scouting needs to go a bit further.
yeah. I mean, I think
But with the lack of stuff just on just interviews and stuff like that, that's stuff that we want to see that shouldn't be too difficult to put into a game.
no, it shouldn't be. But Madden
Yes,
makes excuses.
obviously there's going to be flaws. There's going to be flaws where you're asking the same questions over and
Yeah,
over
but even
again.
then, that's
But they should give you the option to want to answer them or not. Like I keep referring back to FIFA because they have it. Like you don't have to go to the pre or post game
mm-hmm.
interviews, but you can.
Yeah. I think even if you do allow for questions during maybe it's a big game. This is a game that if you win, you go into the playoffs or something along those lines. That, like you said. Do those questions and those answers get repetitive? Yes, but at the same time, you can come up with new questions. Maybe make 5 different questions and 5 different answers, and put those out into the game every so often, so that it keeps it fresh, and then that way you have more variety. It's not rocket science, but I think EA just they make excuses because they don't really want to
Right.
make a good game.
Or even just, adding that feature into the game and testing it
Mm-hmm.
out and then getting feedback from the community on how they feel. And then the next year, if they enjoyed it, you can, expand on it, add more questions and answers and pre-made questions and answers
Yeah,
into the
I
game.
think that that would be a good step too. Nobody.
A lot of the stuff that is wrong with Madden, they had it either in older games or they can add. And then the biggest thing with EA is they don't listen to
No.
their feedback. They claim they do, like this whole thing with Madden 21 where, the hashtag fix franchise was going
Mm-hmm.
around. They didn't actually fix it. All they did was they sent out a PR stunt. Yeah, we hear you. We're going to fix it. No, you just got backlash. So you got on the phones. Oh, we might lose consumers. So we're going to send out this message.
I'll be interested to see how actually it works out this year. I like I said, I don't think I'm gonna end up buying it just because it's the same thing as last year's. I actually had, each and every time I see Madden tweet something out, I reply to them and tell them how like their game is garbage. And I had a guy today reply to me with the hashtag fix franchise mode, and
Yeah,
so
because like I said, they're so worried about building the game for the casual viewers, that the hardcore fans that want franchise mode, that play the game for franchise
mm-hmm.
mode, and Madden, they have face of the franchise, which is kind of like my career in
Yep.
2K, and they're adding improvements to that, but it's like I really didn't enjoy
It
that
was
too much.
okay, but it was just there is so.
Especially because you can't really create your own character. They kind of have, a
Yep,
pre-made
yep,
character in
that
there
too.
for you. And you can't really edit him until after. It's like, well, I want to edit him before I do the story. I don't want to play the story and then edit him after. It doesn't feel
No,
the
I
same.
agree because at that point was the only thing that I have ever changed once I got out of college into the pros was my jersey number, maybe my helmet, adding a visor, the cleats, the socks, the
Right.
small things.
'Cause I know in Madden 20, they didn't even allow me to use my name. They're like, that's not an appropriate name. I'm like, Anthony Thomas isn't up there. They're like, no, you can't use that. So I wasn't even allowed to use that name going through. I had to, completely change my name. And then once I got through the college ranks to the pros, I was allowed to change my name
That's
then.
crazy.
How is that fun? That's not fun.
No, it's not at all. I mean,
And then you get into the mode, and while they finally have coach and player interactions, but it's nothing more than a text
yep,
message. Like, how am I going to be sitting in the locker room texting my coach? Like, don't you think I should just walk up to him at
yeah,
that point?
exactly.
Like, why am I in the locker room texting my head
I could
football coach?
understand maybe if it's the end of the season or if it's before the season starts and you're in your hometown or something and coach wants to text you about something like
Right.
that,
That's okay.
or
But why am I sitting in? Because I believe I got drafted to the Oakland Raiders. So why am I sitting in the locker room texting John Gruden when I'm in the locker room? I could just walk up to him and be like, "Hey, coach, what's up?"
exactly,
Why am I texting him? Like it makes no sense.
because it would take.
It's like they try to give us a feature we want, but then they're so illogical with the feature that we're taken back. Like this is not what we exactly. This is not what we want.
Madden thinks they know what you want, and then they give you opposite of what you want. Yeah,
It's like I appreciate you adding this aspect into the game, but logically, does that make sense that I'm going to text my coach sitting in the locker
no.
room?
Sometimes I wonder if anybody from EA actually ever played football or has ever actually watched a football game with the bull crap that they put out. Like, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it's like they focus on making more money as a business. They're focused more on making money than producing a good
Mm-hmm.
game, and it's been like that for what, 4, 5, 6
Oh,
Maddens
absolutely.
now. Where and it feels like the more they try, the more they
They
take
do.
away.
Because, again, they think they know what
Like
the players want, but they don't.
each and every year, it's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna get this cool new feature. No, it's like you added that cool feature, but then you took away 10 features that actually made the game
Mm-hmm.
decent. Like they used to have creative team. Like even the creative player now is, it's like it's not the same.
No, Madden has never been the same. I don't think it will ever be the same. Unless they get rid of the virtual money to buy packs,
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's gonna stay the same bullcrap as it has every year.
Or even, in the, face of the franchise. In NBA 2K, you're allowed to pick what brand you go to. Why can't I just wear whatever cleats I want? Why don't I sign an endorsement deal with a certain, brand? Why is it, I can wear Nike one game, Adidas one game, Jordan cleats one day? It shouldn't be like
Right.
that. You should get, a certain amount of XP points for signing an endorsement deal.
Absolutely.
And then you're only allowed to wear like those shoes.
That's something I've never actually thought of, and that would actually be a really cool idea. Because
it's in the older, like 2K My Careers. Like, you could sign with Jordan or you could sign with Nike, Adidas, and only wear that shoe. And then you got a certain amount of, VC or whatever to boost your player based on the endorsement deal. Madden, it's just like, you could play the game and then you're still not, going up in overall at all. The only way you're gaining XP is from practice. Okay, I killed the practice, but that's the only XP I get. I don't get the XP for, endorsements or actually playing in the actual game.
Yeah, I think that would really add a lot better realism, I guess, to it.
You also have way too much control in that. Like I was playing, and I was playing a preseason game, and he's like, "Okay, you're only gonna play the first half." First half comes around, you get benched. You can literally pause and put yourself back into the game.
Countless times.
It's like, am I the head coach or am I the player here? I shouldn't have the control to put myself back into the game. Where, in other career modes and, in 2K, if you're sitting on the bench, you can't just say, no, I'm going back in the game. No, the game gets simmed until you go back in. Madden, it's just like, you think you're going to bench me, huh? Well, watch this. Depth chart starter, I'm still playing. So it's like you're the player, the coach, and the owner all in one. Like I don't understand it. Like I get the concept of it, but at the same time, it makes absolutely no sense. I shouldn't be able to throw myself back into a football game.
No, I mean, because maybe some players could, but you can't really do that in real life.
Well, especially in a preseason game where it's like, I'm not exactly the starter yet. I shouldn't be able to just throw myself back in there, score 4 more touchdowns, and coach is like, yeah, you're starting now. Well, yeah, I played the whole game.
Yeah, I'm kind of the GOAT, but that's neither here nor there. Some people just need to wake up.
Another thing with Madden is the games are predetermined. I don't care what anybody says. If you're bound to lose that game, you will lose that game, no matter how many times you quit and restart.
I mean, it sounds just like the actual NFL.
It's like, and for some odd reason, the Cowboys and EA Madden are always good.
What buddies?
You can give them the worst roster in the game and they'll sit there and make the Super Bowl. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. It's like, it's predetermined for the Cowboys to be good. The Browns are always good, which is weird because the Browns are absolutely terrible in real life. And then, it's like, typical Madden. It's like, this game should be realistic and not already have a predetermined outcome that we're playing anyways.
I think they take...
Because it seems like no matter what, in any franchise I played, and our friends can attest to this, the Cowboys were always a thorn in my side. Didn't matter. I could have, a team full of 99s. I'd lose.
Yep.
Like, the game shouldn't be programmed like that. The game should be programmed to where you're playing and, the results are based on how you play.
I think EA takes to heart America's team a little too much. We all know the Cowboys isn't America's team. That's no doubt.
I mean, it's not just the Cowboys. I've played countless amount of games where I go into the game and I'm already predetermined to lose. Like, a video game shouldn't be determined on before you even go in. The winner shouldn't be decided.
Right.
And then, they'll run those, the computer will run those 4 cheese plays that Madden has that are broken, and they beat you. And it's like there's nothing you can do to stop it. And there's just so much that they can do with the game that they don't. It's just as a consumer, I didn't buy Madden last year. A lot of people don't know that, but I didn't spend a dime on it. My roommate got it, and then I just got it from him. So I didn't actually spend a dime on Madden. I don't plan on spending a dime on Madden this year until they fix their game. And regardless if I buy it or not, if I play the game, I have a right to say my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, this is America.
Sure, I wasn't suckered into spending $60, $30, $20 on it.
Maybe if by the end of the year when Madden goes on sale and all this and that, and if they have actually produced a somewhat decent game, I would maybe consider it, but I think everybody should just boycott Madden this year and really give them a
And
run for their money.
and a lot of people are because they're tired of the game. Like if you look on the Madden 20 trailer, it's got like 10,000 likes and it's got like 42,000 dislikes. So the like to dislike ratio is huge because people, they're tired of Madden's crap. They're starting to realize, hey, you're not actually making us a new game. You're just giving us Madden 20 with one or two new cool features while taking out 15 others you failed to mention. And people are tired of it. They're tired of not having a good football game. Yes, it's the only one that gets made every year, but at the same time, it's like I shouldn't be playing, Madden 08, NCAA Football 14, and it being a better game than what's currently out.
I agree.
With technology being the way it is this year, or like, now compared to back then, there's no excuse for making a bad
none
game.
whatsoever. I agree.
There's none. But it just seems like the better the technology gets, the worse the game gets, and it doesn't make any sense.
No, I agree with that completely.
Why am I playing almost a 10-year-old football game and it's still way better than the current Madden? Like what, NCAA football has been out 8 years now?
Something like that.
7, 8 years now? Why is that a better game than the current gen Madden? It's like, why is NBA 2K11, 2K12, 2K13 better than the current NBA 2K? Why are the older games better?
Well, I think they actually, it's like you said, the technology that we have now and the digital world that we live in, you can do so much more with that. So why produce something that people are actually going to like when, you can just buy your stuff? You can buy whatever you want to buy and not actually have to sit here and play the game. It's just kind of like in COD. You have all these packs that you can go and buy. Well, what fun is that? Like, why can't you just say, make challenges or something if you're playing, a multiplayer game?
Yeah.
Get so many headshots in a game and you get this. I mean, there are things like
And
that.
our technology is improving. You can see it in the graphics. Like I remember, I think it was 2K. My mom couldn't tell if I was actually watching a game or playing it. Like that's how far the graphics have come. But it's like at the same time, it's like, okay, that's great, but we want good gameplay. And Madden is so focused, and sports games are so focused on graphic, presentation. It's like the gameplay sucks, and then we go back to the old games, and they can't understand why.
Well, it's like we said before. If they would actually listen to their people, to the consumers, they might actually figure it out.
And one company that's good at actually listening to the consumer is Rockstar. Like everybody is begging for GTA 6, GTA 6, but they're not ready to produce it yet because they know what kind of game they need. And so they're like, okay, we were going to just give you GTA 5 remastered for the new count. Where, Red Dead 2 took forever and was on hold to come out because they wanted to produce a good game.
And that is a good game.
Where they actually sit back, they sit back, they listen to the consumer, they're like, okay, this is what we need to put in, this is what we need to fix. And I think that's why GTA is on hold.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to put everything in that was wrong with GTA 5. It's been out 8 years, 9 years. But it's still such a good game, and they want to improve on that for the next one that they're not going to put out crap.
Exactly.
Where EA, and I mean, regardless, they don't have as many games to put out, nor do they have a timeline. But it's like, like we mentioned earlier, if Madden focused in on the new game while going back to the old game, you'd get a better game every year.
I agree completely.
Or, Madden's other sports games, they don't even need to make a game every year.
No.
If you make a good game, people will continue to play it. There will be no need for the next, you can wait 2 years to make another football game and people will then buy it. Because then the new game will be out or, outdated. But it's like, Madden 21's not, or Madden 20 is not going to be outdated yet.
No. Well,
there's going to, especially with the custom, draft classes, the game's not outdated right away. I can go in, I can download the custom draft class or download that custom roster there, boom. It's like brand new game.
I'm gonna actually argue that for a second. I think it gets outdated once you have free agency begin because then even though the free agents don't start on their new team until the new one comes out, but then at that point it's kind of like, all right, well, I know this player doesn't play for this team anymore, and so I think it kind of gets outdated in that sense. But um,
Okay, a simple roster update will
yeah,
fix
and
that.
I don't understand why EA.
2K does that all the time. If a guy gets traded to a different team, boom, a roster update comes out almost
Well, I'm talking
immediately.
like off season stuff too, though.
Well, I mean, yeah, but even then, even then, 2K still updating. It's
Hmm.
like they're constantly updating their roster. Why is it so hard for Madden to do that? Yes, there's more players, but it's like, do really that many players move?
No,
It's like you can't add, if Aaron Rodgers was to leave the Packers and move, is it really that hard to put him on that new team?
not at all. Shouldn't be.
It's like, a simple roster update, and it's like basically you're playing the same game.
Yeah.
But, if they don't do that and they're so, worried about getting the next game out on time. No. Take a year off,
Hmm.
update the roster, or give us, a bigger download, an updated download with our new roster that we have to, spend, 3 gigs, four
Yep.
gigs on to update the roster, and then, you're good.
Or something that
If
I don't
you,
understand why they couldn't do is it was something rosters, and I lost my train of thought. No pun intended. Um, yeah, you'll have to come back to that because I lost what I was going to say.
but yeah, it's like if you give us a good game, we're not going to expect
Mm-mm.
one right away. Like, yeah, I know the whole NCAA series, got cut out, but it was like, NCAA football 14 was so good. We didn't really need an NCAA 15,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like, okay, if it was there, then what did they improve on? But it's like, if you give us a good game, we're not going to be expecting one every single year.
No. And what I was going to say was, why do we have to release Madden in August? Why can't we do it in September when the NFL season actually starts? That gives them a whole nother month
Right.
to produce
Right.
something.
To fix the bugs, and it's like, that's the thing. It's like Madden, they always release the game in the absolute worst form
Mm-hmm.
possible. There's bugs all over there's bugs and glitches all over the place in the game. And then they wait until October, November to fix it. And then they still didn't fix the bugs that they released the game with. It's like, why are you releasing a game like that isn't good?
Well, it's
You
it's
know,
to appeal.
yeah, the consumers are going to pay $60 for it, but why are you doing that to us? Why are you giving us a game that it's like they're sending out an unfinished
Mm-hmm.
game?
I don't know.
Like I don't understand why EA thinks it's cool to go out and send out an unfinished game, and then they get a whole bunch of negative feedback, and they don't understand why.
Well, listen.
Well, you sent out a terrible game, and then you're mad that people are complaining about the terrible game.
Right. It's like we said before. Just listen to what the people are saying, fix what the people are saying, and you won't get that much negative feedback. Like, you're still going to have negative feedback, but it's not going to be as negative as it is right now.
The problem is, though, their pockets aren't hurting.
Well,
So
yeah.
until their pockets start hurting, they're not going to do anything. Like you said, if we boycott Madden, we don't buy it, we let them lose money, maybe they'll start to realize, oh crap, maybe our game does suck.
Yep.
Oh crap, what can we do to fix it? But until then, they're going to just keep collecting their money, sending out, shelling out crap each and every year.
Agreed 110%. That's all it is in this world is money is the root of all evil. As long as you're making money, they
Well,
don't
yes,
care.
but at the same time, that's not necessarily true because there are companies that do care.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, Rockstar, they care about their their consumers. Yes, they don't have to make a game every year, but they also
Mm-hmm.
care. And that's why if a game has to be pushed back, they'll push it back to make sure that they're not sending out a game that's full of bugs. They're going to send you out the best possible game. And then if there's still problems, which there will be,
Absolutely.
they'll fix it later.
Do away with big business.
Where Madden's like, okay, this game sucks. We know it. We're gonna sell it at $60. People are still gonna be dumb
Oh,
and
yeah.
buy it. Then they're gonna spend $300 on Ultimate Team, and then we're still getting a bunch of money, and we don't really care. It's like, I'm glad you guys actually care about your consumers and are happy with them wasting money. But you know, at the same time, it's like we're looking dumb for buying the game every
Oh yeah,
year
absolutely.
and then complaining later. It's like, okay, don't buy the game and then play it, you know, or you know, rent the game, see if it's worth it, and then complain later.
Yeah, yeah. I think that'd be nice.
It's like, yeah, I'm complaining because I bought the $60 game, but at the same time, it was like you knew what you were
Yeah,
buying.
you can't really
You knew exactly what was coming to you. You knew exactly what you were purchasing. You knew the game sucked, but you bought it
Yep,
anyways.
you fell into the lap of what they exactly wanted you to do. They're just taking candy from a baby. That's all it is. But like you said, we're dumb enough to give them what they want.
No, some people are. I'm not giving Madden any more money. I'm done
Yeah,
with
I'm
that.
not.
I didn't do it last year. I don't plan on doing it
Nope.
this year. And next year, I probably not going to do it either.
Nope. I'll just hang out and play COD and be happy with Call of Duty and you know.
I'm not gonna lie, it is kind of tough sometimes when it's on the PlayStation Store, like 75% off, and it's like $10. I'm like,
I mean, at that point, ten
okay,
bucks
if
is
the
ten
game sucks,
bucks. You
it's like,
know.
you know, it's like okay, it's like 10, $20. It's like okay, at that point, if the game sucks, I spent $20 on it. I'm not that
Right.
upset. But like you know, me buying a $60 Madden, it's just not gonna happen anymore.
Absolutely.
I'm not buying it at $60. I'm not buying it at $40. I'm not giving EA that kind of
Mm-mm.
money, and for Madden at least, you know. I don't think I even spend $60 on any sports game anymore.
Not even FIFA.
No, not even FIFA. Like I'll wait for FIFA to go on sale because you know it's still EA, so you're still feeding the
Yeah,
machine.
yeah, you're not wrong.
And you know FIFA has problems of its own, but it's like you
Yeah.
know I'm not spending $60 on a game that I'm okay enjoying last year's version of.
Well, I don't know. I hope at some point that Madden does listen, and if they maybe after this year, if we've bullied them just enough, that they'll say, "Hey, we're gonna take a year off. We're actually gonna listen to what you're saying," which is wishful thinking, but
Basically, in conclusion, boycott
yep,
Madden. Don't waste your money. You know, make EA, you know, make their pockets hurt a little bit,
make
and
their
you know,
pockets hurt.
yeah, make their pockets hurt. You know, hurt them where it hurts them most. Don't buy the game at $60. Don't buy the game.
Yeah.
Period. Boycott Madden. Stick to Madden 20, Madden 19, whichever Madden you have. Stick with that. Boycott Madden. You know, this has been episode 3 of the train station. Join us next time. Not sure what the topics are going to be, but join us next time. We appreciate everybody who listens, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Take care, guys.